evening, everyone. Call the meeting to order. Welcome to the first ever, I should say, or stream. Welcome to the first ever stream meeting of the 2000 Community Complex. I'd like to thank the Allied staff for providing the material and information and knowledge that we saw. So I hope everyone can hear me. Can you tell us my name is Rodney? Good. Thank you. And second, welcome to new person. Welcome to Nathan Dias, the person on community. Welcome. The first item on the agenda is confirmation of the agenda. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Dominique and seconded by Rex. All those in favor?
Before the vote, Mr. Chair, I would like to add an item to the agenda. Pursuant to section 39(2)B, the municipal act 2001 amendment, as the subject matter pertains to personal matters about an identifiable individual who is subject to all the microphone on.
Go through the whole thing.
So I would like to add an item to the agenda in closed session. So close to the public pursuant to section 239(2)B of the municipal act 2001 amendment, as the subject matter pertains to personal matters about the identifiable individual and the municipal board employee to discuss the EECC management and governance.
We are asking for an amendment to the agenda. Meeting in closed session. I'm not sure that I would approve of that into the amendment in closed session at this late stage. People are not very aware of what even we can put in. Really, at this late stage, I'm not in favor of adding the item to the agenda to closed session.
With my and I believe according to our bylaw that request to make a motion to amend the agenda can be put forth, and as long as there's a majority vote, and if the majority votes in favor of the amendment.
We can overrule by objection, but to get the majority vote. So I would have to vote on the amendment, but you have a direction on that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we just ask that that member engineer has a second here for that amendment to the confirmation of the agenda, and I have no questions to go.
Thank you. Sorry, I forgot that. So we forgot to have the secretary to the very well.
Mr. Chair, certainly if I can speak to the board as for a moment as in my role as the CEO of the town of Elmer, rather than my role as the administrator of this facility. The town of Elmer has received legal advice to not discuss governance at this committee, and we are not here to discuss any employee or labor matters either that are related to town of Elmer employees. So certainly the board can vote however they wish. My advice to the members from Elmer Council is to receive your legal advice and taking your position as a council. So if this board does approve the choice as utilization, I would recommend we all get up and leave at that portion of the meeting.
Mr. Chair, I would like to clarify that this board is independent of each municipal council. And when we sit here as a board, we wear a hat and we are here to protect the interests of the EECC. And we do not sit here as council. So whatever information, so there right now, the only thing that's on the table, and the CEO does not know specifically what will be discussed, because that's a matter for the board in closed session. So if the board wishes to have this discussion, it is up to the board, as simple as that. Our staff do not get to vote on this motion, and we wish to have that discussion. whatever, I just want you to remind everybody that whatever information you have received and decisions you have made in your council, it's in, that happened in your council. So it's almost like we have to look at this as though you have two file holders, and you have one in the municipal council and one in your EECC board. If there isn't information that you received in the municipal council, you cannot copy and paste that information into your EECC folder. If your EECC folder is empty, it is empty. The only place you can receive updates on management and governance is here. So right now, I feel that the board is due for, to discuss that EECC management and governance. So I put the motion for that this item be added to the agenda.
Roll call. Not just vote, it will be recorded. As you can see, this item is causing the market right here before we go to close session. The reason for my rule of that is kind of something that we shouldn't do right now. It's safely do it. Something for the what is closed session. Discuss things all about. But I would still stress to you that this is not the place. I
can follow up, all due respect to your remarks, without me knowing what the question is, I would like, the chair to trust that the recommendation of the board member is reasonable and feasible, and it's not meant to, put anyone in an impossible situation. So otherwise, I think we can trust the respectfulness and professionalism of the board members.
I'm going to read that from it. I know it's something unreasonable, but I just believe that it's not. We should give the board at least notice for the next meeting.
So why do you feel that way? Can you clarify that, please?
Well, because this is a close item discussion. We're not sure exactly what it is. So I would wait until the next agenda.
And we at least listen to it and then defer it to next meeting?
Yes, of course.
And just to add, I don't think it's at all being, releasing anything that's confidential from Elmer Council. Again, it has been in the publicly released statement that it's certainly something that the town of Elmer has determined that I can't wear two hats here. I can't be this board's administrator and represent the interest of Elmer at this body. So that is part and parcel of why Elmer Council is not has made the decision not to discuss governance here. And part and parcel as well as we're not discussing the employees of the town of Elmer either. So that just to explain what I can, which the portion of our council's that's already public. So I do not understand what there would be to discuss in closed session with those two items not being up for discussion here.
I could, I think this further shows that we do need to have this item on the agenda. I find it very interesting that the administrator did not hold his position when he put forth on the agenda in our January meeting, a very similar topic, and found it appropriate and did not see the conflict that he is stating today. So I see a bit of contradiction here. It is perfectly pertinent for the administrator of the EECC in the capacity of the administrator to provide an update to this board. If this board is missing information since we have not met since April. There is further information to receive that board members. Thank you, and I would like to simple about.
I have clear direction from my employer. This board is not my employer. The town of Almaine is my employer. And my clear direction is I represent the town of interest of the town of Almaine on these issues. And I'm not to discuss them here tonight. So there will be no update provided regardless of whether or not closed session.
Mr. Chair, if the administrator of the EECC wishes to declare a conflict, he can recuse himself during the discussion, and the board will then discuss in closed session how we wish to resolve this conflict, because otherwise we would be in an impasse where this board would not be able to fulfill its duty, its fiduciary duty that we are bound to, without the information that we are missing. So it's perfectly fine to declare a conflict involving there, and it doesn't preclude, this board can have discussions without the administrative discussion.
Seems as though we're having a whole discussion before we get to the question. Anyone else?
This is come up a week ago, so we can review it.
You mean, the notice of this?
That's right.
Well, that's a good point, that I can offer the notice of this kind of,
Yeah, we can,
you're on the agenda.
at least review
Mr. Chair, I think you're ready to go to the vote, but
Well, I think we are.
there's a reason why this was changed. What's being done this way. So again, I encourage board members to trust all of us, as fellow board members, that there is an explanation to why. I would say, personally, this is not a preferred way of proceeding. That's the nice, that's what.
Maybe call them over and according to those that they asked for. I just want to remember from the nine members that, I guess I can change come up with the next agenda. Doesn't have to go today. But, we really everything's on. Both sides, so, the first one, and, very good.
So we have three new, Mr. Chair. So this motion is to add additional items to the agenda pursuant to section 239 of the municipal act. And that's respecting another vote, personal not to go to identifiable individual. So we'll call it, my apologies, this is moved by member Jaguar and seconded by member Lindsay. So we proceed with the area vote as recommended or as requested by member Oslich. I will start with member DeRozier. Last member to say in favor or opposed. Member DeRozier.
In favor.
Member Lindsay. Member Van Rey. Opposed. Member Jaguar.
In favor.
Member Barber.
Okay.
Member Leach.
In favor.
Member Oslich.
it.
Member Whitaker.
In there.
Member Cookett.
So,
Member Lewis.
in favor.
Member Serna.
In favor.
Member Wilson.
In favor.
So by a vote of 9-3, the motion carries.
Thank you very much. So we were voting on the, as amended, so we don't. Yeah, the main order was amended. We're going to take a vote on the company. Okay, very well. Item 3, declaration of community interest. Delegation, approval of previous minutes.
That board adopts minutes of the EECC board meeting held on April the 26th, 2023.
Mover and seconder. Member Sarah and member Disworthy. All those in favor? Carried. Action items. We have Clark coordinator report on Canada Day and celebrations.
That report operations 523 entitled Event Final 2023 Canada Day Celebrations Final Report. We received for information. And that this report we forwarded to the Township of Mile High and Town of Almer Councils for pre-budget approval to facilitate timely event planning for future events.
Mover and seconder. Barber, second by member Reeves. Discussion. No, just before discussion, I'm sorry, I don't get on the report.
Yeah. I have a question. Am I good?
Yeah, before you do that, Mark, I'd like to report to the board. Continuing the report. Oh, sorry. No.
But I moved up because it's a large room and I'm not sure where to get about with it. You hear me not good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of the report is to bring forward to both a recommendation from the board to both the township and the town to sort of get pre-budget approval for the Canada Day festivities. Last year, I'll look through that with the report now. Last year, you'll put a note, we're just kind of coming out of COVID and things were canceled and not quite sure what was going on, but we didn't get started until February. I think we did a good show of it. As you can see from the report, it was well received in the community. But these activities, Canada Day, a lot of these vendors, a lot of this stuff is built a year in advance. People have already sort of secured Canada Day festivities for next year. So it's sort of prudent that we sort of get pre-approval on this outside of the budget. So we should move ahead with Canada Day or we should not. So I'll go through Danielle's report here because there's some good information on it. I think it was well received. I think we sent an email out to both councils and Danielle did on the sort of 14th, kind of summarizing the event and the participation and all of the activities that were available on site. After the Canada Day festivities, we did meet with our partners, the Kinsmen, and I use that term partners because seriously, these guys really step up for this event. These fireworks costing between $20,000 and $25,000 for these fireworks. It's significant. And really, without the Kinsmen involvement, I'm not sure we would have much of a going sort of celebration here. So I want to first and foremost recognize their efforts. They've got a great team to be working with. So we thought we'd give them a voice at the table. We met with them. Their vision, I would assume, was a lot like this board's vision. They want to see us leverage all of the things that are going on in the community, and this is part of the things for the township and the town. For example, they work with the rodeo when that's done. They announced the fireworks over here. They work with them on their beer gardens. We put beer gardens on here. No, they've got one there. They're kind of working collectively back and forth. So I did want to give them a voice at the table. They suggested the one thing that I could bring forward to you would be some food trucks. They'd like to see food trucks secured for people that sort of are looking for food at the event. I doubt you're going to see food trucks that come here for free. A lot of places will pay the vendors for these food trucks to come and do the event. So that's why I'm sort of proactively letting you know there. The social media photo booth was a huge hit. It was just lined up out the gate. People could take an instant selfie and then push it out to their social media feeds. So, and then you were seeing that refed as the grandmother saw their grandson or daughter at the event, it was getting pushed out again. So that social media capable phone booth or photo booth was a real crowd pleaser. So
that one is booked up a lot. That's another one we'd like to kind of get booked in for our event moving forward. Down to the budget. So as you can see, we kind of landed right on the budget, even though we kind of got going a little bit late. The one thing I would like to show is the sponsorship. We didn't hit the sponsorship mark in there. When we go for sponsorships on our other programs like public skating, we get a significant uptake. There's a lot of uptake with people that want to sponsor kids to be on the ice with skates and get free skating. The Flavor of Canada Day, a little bit of feedback we're getting back is that really this is more of a caution board by the government level at the end of the day. So we didn't have a huge uptake in sponsorship. We'll keep shooting for that mark, but I expect sponsorship dollars they kind of expect municipalities to do again. Straight there. So what we're suggesting, and as Danielle said, we got off to a late start with our sponsorship. She'll keep at it. We're going to keep trying hard to get Canada Day sponsorships, but we have a much easier time on some of our other programs with our sponsorship just to stay there. So what we'd like to do is get approval to get started on Canada Day now and not in February or March after only the budget's in time.
Thank you. Questions or comments? So we're with her.
Thank you. Yeah, I did attend the event as well, and well attended recommended with the event. My main question is in relation to the Celebrate Canada grant in Bureau. Is that something we've applied for before? And the state is something that giving it a shot at?
Through you, Mr. Chair, member Winter, yeah, it was missed. I think through the COVID and the notification, we identified which email that notification should go to now. I think with the confusion of COVID and the grant application got missed back here, but it's supposed to come out later this year, and we'll be applying for that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one else, motion on the floor, all those in favor? Carried. When financial services.
That report finance, technical three entitled Self-Care Community Complex Quarterly Financial Summary Report, year to date, August 2023, you received for information.
We're in second.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, the members of the board. The August operating budgeted values and actually we have in front of you is actually good news at this point for the board. Some of the pressures overall this year have been related to residual cost of inflation, which has impacted the operating and janitorial supplies. There's been some better cost increases due to labor materials, as you guys are well aware in your own council budgets. But as mentioned in this report, the team leader at EECC is now in charge of scheduling all the labor. And she, I think, working with the EECC coordinator to match with ice buckets. So that's something that we've been doing all year. Overall, there's been an increase in ice rental revenues with everything open back up, and the hall rentals are higher than budget due to church congregation that's now renting our facility. And from the church congregation, we've seen a lot of the weddings take place. So that's where you're seeing the overages with respect to budget. So we'll true the budgets up to 2024. We have some good data. Danielle and I are going to meet next week to look at the ICE revenues for Q4 and for the rest of all rentals.
overall expenses and programming costs are due to the sponsorship program. So if you look at the miscellaneous revenue line, you'll also see that being blown out of the water. That's covering the cost of the programming through the sponsorship program. So that is the majority of the things that came up on this rebate rule. So if you have any questions about that, it's more.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Very good.
That report CAO 5123, respectively, Selden Community Complex 2023 capital project update, we received for information.
Over in secondary. And Van Rays. And Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this report outlines the outstanding capital works on the EECC not undertaken in 2023 thus far. Staff will bring this forward to the board in part because of the facility condition assessment outcomes. The recommendation of this report is to receive for information purposes, and I'll try to answer any questions that our board members might have.
Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Raise your hand. Again, please. Carried. Item E, administrator, E amendment. Facilities. Sorry, Mr.
That report CAO 5223, respectively, Selden Community Complex facility condition assessment, we received for information.
Over in secondary. Everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this report provides the outcomes of the facility condition assessment authorized by the board in 2023. This report comes from GM Blue Plan, a well-respected firm in the area's facility condition assessments, infrastructure planning, life cycle management, and cost analysis strategy. They have over 200 staff with different areas of expertise, which was a benefit to us during this process because we were able to get a high level of specialists to review the facility, in particular the mechanical components. The outcomes of this facility condition assessment are sobering. However, they're not surprising, given the previous reports to this board that you've received from your auditor upon the need to increase funding for capital costs of this facility. The recommendation of the report is to receive for information purposes, and I'll try to answer any questions as best I can.
Questions? Comments? Yeah.
Chair, I just wanted to clarify in the opening statement, the administrator just stated that, we appointed, and I think each council appointed a blue plan, because we are a well-respected firm with 200 staff with a high level of expertise, and we really benefited, this project. So I was just a little bit confused that I think when I read the report, it said that GM Blue Plan issued an RFP and contracted this task to the IRC group. So I just need to clarify, who is the IRC group? Is there, why weren't you there? You just stated that we hired GM Blue Plan because you're well respected and well staffed and high level expertise. So where does IRC given the picture, and does that mean that we ended up paying more because of the middleman or whatever? So I think we need to clarification. It's not totally aligned with
Through Mr. Chair and two members here. Previously, when we had spoken about some of the benefits of working with GM Blue Plan and the firms that they worked with in the past, one of the key rationales that we provided was that all of the other facility condition assessments that the town has received have been completed by GM Blue Plan with assistance from IARC. I'll note that IIRC, while they are a separate firm from GM Blue Plan, work hand in hand with them. GM Blue Plan facilitates that relationship and uses them as a subject matter expert on these items. So the project is managed by GM Blue Plan, who happens to be the engineer that supports the town of Delaware. IIRC is sort of operating at an arm's length of GM Blue Plan, and that's the same process that we use for all of the town's facility condition assessments. So again, we wanted that data to be uniform across the board, so that it sits the treasurer with the capital budgeting, et cetera. So really, this was the approach that we had worked with for all of the town facility condition assessments. And as a result, we follow a similar approach for the zone assessment.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I may, so why wasn't that mentioned in April? There's nothing in the April report that mentioned how, like this is typically how you, and all the praise was about the expertise of GM. So I'm just wondering why the discrepancy, and why not mention this in April, or even in the bylaw that we passed each time.
So I will note all of the facility condition assessments that the town's undertaken have been on the public record. We discussed in the council. We have noted that relationship with IARC. I would have to double check on that report, but I do think that it was mentioned. I certainly could be mistaken. But I'll say again, I think what we're leveraging with GM Blue Plan is their relationship with this subject matter expert that they work very closely with, and do this specialty type of work. So ultimately, the project management and the communication, the relationship management is between EECC staff, and by extension owner staff, and GM Blue Plan project managers. But ultimately, it's really subject matter experts that are doing the work. It's people that are doing the specialized testing for HVAC balancing, doing specialized testing for ammonia compressors, et cetera. Those are folks that are operating under that IARC building services group, who are really, I think we would find that probably the most common vendor in the facility condition assessment in that space.
So could the EECC have tendered directly? But I just want to express my frustration that 5 minutes ago we said we were not looking at expertise. And in your response, you said we're leveraging your relationship with subject matter experts. So I'm just saying, this is the kind of frustration that why can't you just be clear? IRC is not making people. So if, and I also want to emphasize the fact that the MD had to issue an RFP. They didn't state a bid, which means they received several bids, which means we don't know. This board is not informed as to whether there were different prices. We approved upwards of $30,000. But again, why the lack of transparency as to what bids were received by the Blue Plan? Was it under 30? What are we paying? That's what I'm
So I think one of the aspects of why we did this, certainly we had the failure of the desking unit in last year. We looked at this and we said we didn't really have a good handle on other areas of this facility that could fail. We found the cheapest possible option, and we worked with GM Blue Plan to try to work to get the scope and scale of this facility condition assessment to 30 grand. I think if we had obviously gone out as the EECC and issued a tender, it would have been 45 or 50 grand for this work. So we tried to find somebody that could both complete it in a quick time frame, so you'd have information to inform your capital budget discussions this winter, and could do it quickly. And we utilized our brand new relationship with GM Blue Plan, who just had signed up as the town's of Elmer's engineer, to try to leverage some of our ability to work with them and try to get cost-effective approaching. So I know certainly the comments taken about us being transparent and being upfront about the IRC relationship are well taken, and something we can take back. But I don't think there's any. Certainly, there was nothing but the best interest of the ratepayers and what the participants in the EECC being advanced here by staff and getting this work done so expeditedly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. From my perspective and my experience, it's not unusual to deal with, I'm sorry.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh, sorry. Just want to speak up.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure, from my experience, it's certainly not unusual to have, one consultant, so consultants on a project, and no one will hire those, consultants, will lead them solicit prices for geotechnical, for example, they wouldn't do that in-house. It's not unusual for them to solicit bids that we're not aware of as well. Where we would be bound to the low bid, their selection process might be who can deliver to meet our schedule. They'll have a little broader criteria. They can do a deep dive into who they work with. If they work with people in the past, we can say if they work with people more expensive, we're going to get our everything. I know I've got a project ongoing now where I'm only dealing with the one engineer, and they choose those consultants based on sort of my needs they can care about it. So it wouldn't be unusual, given the nature of this facility, for them to select the prices on themselves control specialized to that work. But you do want that overall, and the person managing all this on that for you. And sometimes the management of those controls is a pain, and then we're going to sort of group them all together at the very end. So I do see it very much that the person that reports for this person who's named on for the GMP plan, but they would for credibility's sake identify who they used if they thought it was for it. That's just my perspective from my experience.
What were some of the other dates? This was on the meeting and must have been other dates. What were some of the other? If we're talking about public money, you could be.
Through you, Mr. Chair, this was directly awarded through the town's RFP for engineering services to town of Elmhurst to be in the plan. I believe that RFP outcome for the town had I believe it was 16 vendors, so it was a highly competitive process for that. This specific engineering was not tendered, and the RFP went through ICR that was mentioned in the report. I think is part of a ongoing relationship. I don't believe there was certainly any specific RFP issued by them for this one. They issue an RFP for a slate of work for a year and say we will have work for you to do throughout this year. So they have a longer standing relationship with them, I believe. But certainly, if the board does wish to put $2,000 in the fund and have the GM plan come in and speak to that relationship, we'd be more than happy to arrange that at the next meeting.
Thank you. And thank you, Rob, for that perspective. That was good. My question about this is, are we able to either request this lab or live, find out how much that IRC group was paid from GMB plan to do this? Because we paid them this $30,000, but how much did they pay our IRC to do this, and how much did they profit? Like that to me, there should be a clear breakdown of money.
When you're starting, wouldn't expect you would be able to prepare process. It'd be like hiring a builder to do your house. It's allotted so much for that your kitchen. You need for for instance, your contract with the builder, if you will. I don't know if you could take their relationships with the other one. It's not very great to explain it, but our relationship is with that one contractor, and our expectations are with that one contractor. I don't understand.
we've had several answers to my question. I'm sure that you and the attorney are going to say,
why, for the scope of work performed, was there not some form of, presentation of the report by the, engineers who did the report? That would have been value added to, the report for this board.
Mr. Chair, and two members of each, the accountants, the staff had to work with GM Blue Plan as the project managers to really revise the scope of this project to be able to undertake all the necessary work within the set budget. So really, we didn't have anything left over. At that point, we prioritized ensuring that we had high quality data on all the aspects of the facility that we wanted to learn more about and have that roadmap for the future. And like I said, there was just that part of the costing, there wasn't really for the budget. And I will note as well that there were aspects of the scoping that we were limited. So for example, there really wasn't as comprehensive of a review done on the parking lot. There were items that had to be scoped that, again, just to really prioritize some of the capital parts of this facility that we need that information roadmap to.
Question still, hasn't been at the time, now the ultimate question that we have in here in the city yet. So why is there not a mention of amount that IRC is willing to do this work for? This actually was put out to is different tender in my way of looking at it. This is tendering that we're not aware of. Thank you.
I think, and the answer has been given. Looking at the seven around that, and at the time there was a presentation made to this board about doing a facility condition report, and it was mentioned that we had a good company that did that, and maybe we were remiss in not mentioning all the other companies that might be involved. But, we mentioned it already. However, we acted in the best interest of this board, and there were no further questions at that time. So I believe that we acted correctly, and I think that we answered all the questions that come forward. You have a final comment?
No, Mr. Chair, it's not a question. It's, I'm wondering if the administrator wants the opportunity to revisit his remarks that he mentioned that, I don't know if it was just on the fly, that perhaps the new plan has ongoing relationships, and I think you stated that, the administrator stated that, this IRC probably has a contract with the performance work, and this is one of the things that, well, we can't really break down the price. And I'm trying to reconcile that remark with section 1.2, where IRC is very precise. It says in our proposal number 940 on June 21st, the scope of work includes a little, and so this implies that there was a very specific request made by the plan. It's not part of a numerous projects and like your catch-up things. So I just wondering why the administrator would have made those remarks when this is being reviewed, and whether he wants to correct those remarks.
Respectfully, this option was proposed because the town of Elmer has a great relationship with the GM Blue Plan. We thought we could get this work done quickly, and certainly to go after the work's done and hear that we said we've made statements to the effect that we regret not having highlighted the subcontracting aspect of this, which is, you heard from Rob's comment. within there, and to say that we can bring forward GM food plan, if the board wishes to put more money aside to answer all these questions in detail. But overall, I think we're missing that this was a great, this is a great study, and it was done probably for 15 or 20 grand cheaper than if we went out to RFP. And that's what I thought the board was proving to people, was to move forward and get something done quickly so you have relevant information. And if we're just going to sit here and get attacked over and over again with reiterating these things, it's not very respectful.
I think, I'm not sure what the purpose of all of these questions have been in terms of, what are we trying to point out here that there's we kind of, people made that, something, the board is not over the place. And, is that the point of the question?
The board members are indicating that there's information missing in that process is equally important as the result. If you're not suddenly, sort of deviate from what is said in one report, because but it was in the back either, but it was cheaper and then squared. Yeah, there are a lot of things that without following the rules, maybe it can be faster and cheaper. We just want to ensure that the process, I think the board values process and government as much as outcome. And it may feel like attack or whatever, but we just have the responsibility to justification to reduce costs, to have the expensive process, government, RFPs, transparency for the public. And that's what these parties are about. They're scrambling for information, then there's not a way to put between the how and the
I think we discussed this now. Quick question, Aaron, that's something different after this.
Just a clarification if I may. Okay. I believe that the contract for the engineering was given to one firm, and that firm may have subcontracted out a portion of that. The billing was made by billing for the services was made by one company. The second company, the sub, did not bill. Is that correct? Yes.
Like you said, yeah.
Thank you.
So the issue is when every time that we decide something as board, in terms of engaging contract, and we can all of the subcontract details as well. And the fact that we can give them a little bit, fact that we can give them, it was an issue because so the reported in we want to change. We want to somebody back to explain some of the evidence that you question. I think we're done with this particular question. There is a motion on the floor to accept the complaint. Call the question, those in favor? Just have the hands up and keep their hands up. Carrie? Thank you for that discussion. Here's your fee amendment.
That report CAO 5323 respecting user fee adjustment, summer training rates we received for information, and that the board approves the proposed 2024 ice rates as presented and direct staff to utilize them for the preparation of the 2024 operational budget. And further, that notice of the EECC board's intention to adopt user fees for the 2024-2025 season be posted upon the season website.
Mover second. Lewis and
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this report seeks to remove two specialized incentives that encourage ice rentals in the summer months. Operations in warm months consume significantly more energy and are much harder on the mechanical equipment. Staff are unsure of the initial rationale or logic behind why these very large subsidies have been provided. The costs recovered are so low that they fall well short of the staff salaries for the facility operating on those days. These subsidies likely have skewed our understanding of the level of demand for summer ice completely. There will have to be some continued evaluation required in 2024, and with that, I'll try my best to answer any questions the board might have. Oh, sorry, Bob.
If I could add to Andy's comments and to,
Read off there, Rob? I didn't push the button. Okay.
sorry, if I could add to Andy's comments and speak to the consultation portion of the comments that Al had as well. If you recall, we made some changes a little while back. It was a heavily data-driven report, lots of graphs and lots of charts and stuff like that. This initiative is not that. This is actually, if you will, an operations identified, suggestion box type improvement that as soon as Andy and I and Heather looked at it, we said, wow, this is low hanging fruit. We don't, this one we're not doing. The other things we're going to deep dive on. This is not one. So as Andy said, for some reason on our summer ice, there's these well discounted rates for like training ice. So a couple of skaters, somebody said it's training ice. It's not even covering cost, right? It's really low. It's unique to this area. Maybe at one time it was a great idea to build a building. However, the most significant wear and tear on our equipment is that summertime. Storing our condensers, the part our compressors. And if we're reaching the end of our life cycle on a few of these things, it doesn't really make sense to discount that summer right for a few skaters that staff are also suggesting, maybe from out of town. This isn't a program that we're taking away from, the residents out there. This is really benefiting a small group, and at least some out of town people are coming over to leverage these rates. So what we're suggesting is we should probably move on this now. One, we want to give them lots of opportunity. So I want to be able to say, guess what, next summer, you have to do something plan. I think we want to give these people as much time as we can. So we're again making these changes now. You'll also notice in Andy's report too, he's kind of got the date range in there. Andy very, made it clear that if this happens to, minor hockey happens to come and says, hey, guess what, we want to start, a little bit earlier in August. We understand from the board that there will be some flexibility to accommodate those types of users on some of these summer rates. I'm not trying to take those out. But you can see the rate on there at almost our worst time of year is, a 5-skater rate at 41.60. It is low hanging fruit, but I just want to address the part about the deep dive, but I fully agree with that. This is like this is really one for us.
Okay. Questions or comments? None, all those in favor? Carried. Yeah.
That report CAO 5423 respecting the revised ice allocation policy be received for information, and that the EECC board approves the revised ice allocation policy as attached to report CAO 5423.
We're in second. Everyone been ready, gentlemen? Questions or comments? Resolution on the floor. All those in favor? Thank you. Item 7, inquiries by members.
There's a couple, investigator unit, with it, here and none is up and running, how did that go on?
As far as I know, everything went fine. I haven't heard anything back.
What's working okay in the second?
Yeah,
The good news for it. And the Yankee services status, I have no idea, we have found it going on, I have no idea.
Mr. Chair, we are, I believe it's the end of October, this week, but Terry kind of strong on that one. I can look into the delivery date and forward to the board members to state it.
Yeah, that'd be good. Then.
Anyone else?
Hello, I had a couple of inquiries from, Callahan residents about, why during one of the, past, Elmer Spitfires games did it take so long for ice to be resurfaced? When it was a time frame kind of for the events, it took a substantial amount of time and the ice detector was on the other tab. And it happened twice during that particular game time. And the other question I have is, the BOM runs the seniors program with this facility, and one of the dates was moved, and so I had residents concerned about why that got moved or the bumps, because it created a lot of confusion for those members that use that BOM.
If Peter, Mr. Chair, if you could provide the sort of date and time, I can chase down when we issues it off and talk about that, I would be able to answer that question. The BON was moved to accommodate the changes in the hours. They were offered any other something for that program. I called them myself. If I can get you in another time, what time works for you? Unfortunately, we couldn't arrange a time that would work for them because of their instructor. I said, if you find that your instructor is available another time, please call me directly if I can get them back and forth. They are here for the Thursdays, not the Monday or Tuesday, yeah. So I believe their instructor is only available Tuesday and Monday.
Thank you. Anyone else? All those in favor of the motion? There's no motion to serve as members. So the next item is closed session.
Excuse me, Chairman, I think we're on another meeting.
No, I just saw your light go back on, so I thought you had a follow-up.
But the board will recall, this is the motion that was added to the agenda at time of confirmation of the agenda. And the motion reads that the board moves into a meeting close to the public at 8 p.m. to discuss the following matters. And those are personal matters of an identifiable individual, municipal employee, local board employee, and that's a pursuant section of the municipal.
Seconder. Mr. Chair, all those in favor? It was carried. Great reset. It was open the door.
So the motion reads that the EECC board arrives and reports at 8:44 p.m. the following, that the EECC board gave direction to the clerk regarding the personal matters of an identifiable individual.
First, over a second. And then there's Mr. Widner. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. So we're at the last motion. At the last motion, which is adjournment, all moving in a second. All those in favor? That's great. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.